What's up again, everybody? Look, I'm still riding high on the announcement of Tales of Aria. I'm still super hyped about that. I'm literally recording this like, I don't know, an hour after I recorded the Tales of Aria video. So I'm still a little bit hyped, but I told myself I was going to make this video today so that I could post it whenever it's posted. And so I'm going to do that, even though I'm still super hyped about Tales of Aria. Look, if you're super hyped about that as well, hit the thumbs up on this video. Okay, so today's video, we are going to talk about some Classic Constructed. Why? Well, because all of these callings that are coming are going to have some Classic Constructed format kind of games and tournaments mixed into them. Several of them will have Classic Constructed as the premier format, the premier tournament of that event. And if you want to know information about Classic Constructed, then we should talk about it. So today we're going to talk about the top 5, in my opinion, heroes in Classic Constructed currently. These are heroes that have both proven in the past that they are powerful, and or also proving right now how powerful they really are. By the way, if you want to check out any of the Classic Constructed lists that I've put together, I'm actually putting together lists like daily at this point, and I'm saving all of my deck lists, Classic Constructed Blitz, all of that on a document. It's on a deck list archive is what I'm calling it, and that is part of the Patreon. So if you want to become a patron and check that out, I think it's only $3 a month, and you can have access to this constantly curated and updated list of decks that I myself plan on putting together and playing, or have put together and played in the past. And by the way, this is a great moment to say that I am putting all of these together on fabdb.com. You should definitely, or it's .net, fabdb.net, excuse me. You should definitely go check out FabDB if you want to make decks, if you want to see other people's decks, if you want to just kind of mess around with how a deck might work. There's just a ton of options on FabDB. I highly recommend you go and you check out the website. Okay, here we go. We're gonna go from 5 to 1. This is the 5th best, in my opinion, hero in the game for Classic Constructed currently, where it stands right now. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of worried about this first one because really I waffled on this one so much. I was back and forth all over the place, but let's begin. Number 5 is Dash. Dash, Inventor Extraordinaire, is not one, I'm not gonna lie, is not one that I was completely sold about, which is crazy because I feel like before Monarch started to get spoiled, we had this idea that like Dash was just too powerful, and it was because of, you know, basically it was because Matt Rogers is really good at playing Flesh and Blood, and he would just destroy people with Dash control. I don't know, in the current grand scheme of things, I don't know if Dash control still functions as well, because now we have Bravo and we have Prism that both give just huge threats turn after turn, particularly Prism. Huge threats turn after turn that can be popped, but not very easily by Dash. And if you can do multiple Heralds on a turn with Prism versus Dash control, I feel like the Prism player comes out on top there, particularly with the ability to sideboard things in. So for me, Dash was like that kind of borderline hero. I almost put Prism in this spot just because Prism has a lot of just favorable matchups against this and against, like, I feel like Prism has a pretty fun matchup against like Dorinthia, has a fun matchup against Katsu. It doesn't fare well against Reinar, and it doesn't fare well against Bravo as well. So perhaps those matchups make Prism a little bit low as well. But to me, those two heroes were what I was kind of thinking about for this number 5 spot. Let's continue to number 4, and as we go, I will talk about a few heroes that I did leave off. So number 4 is Katsu. Katsu and the Ninja class are just pretty solid all around. They can easily get you, I don't want to say easily, they can comfortably get you to a day 2 if you are very well versed in how to play it and what matchups you're playing up against. Going wide, particularly with Katsu being able to just pull out the next combo line, makes a lot of your threats more threatening than at first they would appear. Like if you're only used to playing Ira in Blitz, I would highly recommend that you try playing some Katsu, because not only are you getting this tutoring effect, you're also playing with 40 health, and the +1 attack thing is most powerful on Ira in Blitz, because one attack is huge. It's a huge difference. It's a huge buff when your opponent has 20 health. When you have 40 health, being able to tutor a card at any time makes all your threats a lot more dangerous, and it makes your opponent play in a lot different ways when you have the health to kind of pad that out and threaten things. We've seen like a turtle control Katsu, and we've seen like some kind of mid-rangey aggro Katsus as well. Katsu has won, including, I should say this about Dash as well, both Dash and Katsu have each won a single event. Like major event, and remember, if you win 10 major events with that hero is officially retired. It enters the living legend status. So both of those heroes, Dash and here with Katsu, both have hit that living legend, or both have hit one, I should say. They're not banned. Both have hit one win out of 10 towards the living legend status. Number 3 is Dorinthia, and you may play Blitz and go, wow, Dorinthia is just so uber powerful, and in Classic Constructed she is still very powerful, very consistent, very hard to play against unless you've played against her a lot, in which case it gets a little bit easier knowing what their sort of outputs are. I do think that she does struggle with Prism as well as Dash, perhaps. I've played it a handful of times, the Prism versus Dorinthia matchup, and Dorinthia does. It's just like, okay, there's another big thing. Okay, there's another big thing. So constantly you're just being hit in the face with these big things. Plus, with Luminaris and Prism, you can send multiple attacks. So Dorinthia does have an uphill battle there, but man, she can make life a living hell for just about any other class, just because she can threaten so much constant damage over the top with attack reactions, and it's one of the reasons why she was so strong early in the I guess the meta of the game. When it was only 4 heroes, it was her. It was basically her and giant attacks from Bravo. Those were like the two things. We did get one win from a Rhinar player, but Dorinthia is just always consistently in the top of tournaments, and that speaks to the power level of her, the power level of her weapon, and the power level of her general cards. I don't see that going down, like super down anytime soon, because the cards she got in Monarch are very incredible. So I shouldn't say very incredible. I should say there are a lot of cards in Monarch that are underratedly good in the warrior class. Like I think not push forward. What is it? Plow Through. I think Plow Through is a fantastic card, and one that should be looked at for Classic Constructed, because it just does some gross stuff for her. So she's number 3. But what does that leave us? That leaves us 2 slots. So what's number 2? I did mention Bravo being super powerful, and in fact, number 2 is Bravo. Bravo is the second best class in the game right now for Classic Constructed, in my opinion, because, and he's been there for a while, because he has just decently solid matchups all around. The things that he can do, the damage output that he can like just push from turn to turn is really pretty gross. And a lot of these crush effects, a lot of these on-hit triggers, but it's not really an on-hit, it's more of a crush effect, because you have to deal 4 damage. A lot of his hit triggers are back-breaking, both literally and figuratively, like there's a picture of someone getting crushed in the spine. It's just one of those scenarios where, like, if you get the tempo as a Bravo player, you literally just punish your opponent with crush effects on hit triggers, and there's really not much clawing back. It's a really good matchup against a lot of things. He never really feels like he's out. He's very flexible because you just run a lot of blues, and you run really powerful attacks that cost a lot but deal just massive damage. He's gotten a couple of interesting generics, like you can play Exude Confidence if you want. More interesting is Rouse the Ancients, which I was low on until I thought about it more. Rouse the Ancients is pretty good. There's a couple of generics in Monarch that even fit into his deck, which I think are really interesting. So for me, he has not dropped in power level at all, and he is officially the closest to being moved to Living Legend status. He has won 3 major tournaments, and I could see him picking up more as time goes by. But he will have to contend with, in my opinion, the best hero in Classic Constructed. And you can't call him a hero because he's really a villain. Chain, bound by Shadow, is the new boogeyman of Flesh and Blood. And I don't think it's close. I think the things, I mean, this is, honestly, it's very scary how good Chain is. It's one of those, it's such an oppressive ability to banish things and then play them from banished. Because in a game where you're attempting to suck cards from your opponent's hand to just weaken their defenses, to break their equipment early so that you can push damage and not allow them to chip out blocks late. In a game like that, you have Chain, who basically has 2 hands. The hand that you're holding that you draw at the end of the previous turn, and the hand that you banish. You have the best equipment that's ever been printed that allows you to block 6, which basically just says your opponent isn't going to do anything this turn whenever you choose to actually block with your Carrion Husk. You have like a ton of go wide. In fact, the go wide is so crazy. There are moments where you literally just go wider than your opponent will ever be able to block. So in those moments, you're actually playing solitaire, and you're just thinking, okay, their hand, a 5-card hand, 1 card in arsenal, can block about 13, 14. I could deal 30, so in this moment, I can solitaire calculate out how much damage I'll do. Will I win the game? Maybe, probably. He's so good. He's so incredibly good. The saving grace, and this is what I think LSS has done a fantastic job of going forward, or from the past to now. The saving grace is that Bravo actually has a pretty decent matchup in my mind against Chain, and not only that, there are other like fringe heroes, and I'll just say it: Azalea with some of the on-hit triggers, some of the arrow on-hit effects, absolutely stomp Chain. But she's so underpowered that it's not like you could just tech in this hero and expect, okay, against all the chains, I'll just play Azalea because there's so many chains and I'll just start winning a bunch. It's just not, it's not that realistic to be able to do that. But because Bravo has a better matchup than most against Chain, I think there is the possibility that he's not just going to run rampant and just absolutely immediately gain Living Legend status. Don't worry. If you're worried, if you're like, holy crap, they just released him, we're going to see him forever, he's going to absolutely destroy the game because he's going to be too powerful. Don't worry. Even if, and I don't think this is true, I don't think that we're ever going to see that happen, but even if it does, 10 tournaments go away, and don't forget, like, callings, I believe, count. So, like, 10 wins across the world, and he's banished. I should, well, I mean, it's actually apt. It's very apropos. He's banished. So, we don't have to worry too much about that possibility. And they did say that when that happens, when someone moves from being playable, like a Shadow Runeblade, to a Living Legend status, they are going to, in the very next set possible, provide a new character to fill that class. So if you like playing like Shadow Runeblade cards, then you can count on there being another Shadow Runeblade. But I don't know if that's ever going to really be that necessary. We'll see. But to me, he is the most powerful by a decent margin in Classic Constructed. Prove me wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. There's people out there that know far more about it than me, but this is the way I'm looking at it, the way I've thought about it and built decks around it. This, to me, strikes me as the most powerful hero. Now, I did leave off Rhinar, and if you're a Rhinar fan, I apologize. I'm not hating on Rhinar. I just don't know if I would put him above Dash. It's possible, though. I mean, there's really that teetering point. You tell me your order. I'd love to hear it, actually. Leave me a comment down below if you'd like to tell me your order, your top 5 heroes in Classic Constructed. I'd love to listen. I may even pin your comment. I don't know. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it gave you some ideas as to what you should maybe go and pick up cards for and then start putting decks together for, because there are big Classic Constructed events coming, and if you want to be prepared for them, you should try out these heroes. I think they're all very strong. They're all good options. Find one that you like and see how well you can do with it. As always, everybody, thanks for watching.